Challenge. You know what? We all meet challenges. This is when a negative thought enters your mind. Think 3 positive ones. Change yourself. Train yourself to step in there and flip that script that you've been living with. That script that doesn't mean anything. Hi, I'm Barbara Britt, and I'm a culture strategist, and you're listening to Brain Fuel with Barbara Britt. Well, guys, thank you, and I'm so glad that you're back with me. You know, I'm going to introduce you to someone that is absolutely one of my joys in life. One of the reasons I love to network and be part of the chamber and part of my community is we have so many great people here. We really do. Interesting people, and they're all ages. They're all ages. Again, I'm going to ask you, open up your world. Open up your brain to new avenues by meeting and learning from everybody, no matter what age. You would be amazed if you just bend your knees a little bit and get on the level of a 4-year-old, all the things that you will learn. So can you imagine when we straighten our legs and then we open our eyes who we can? So right now, I'm going to introduce you to Ashlee Leppert. And I will tell you what, from the very first time I met her, I knew I was going to chase her down and make her be friends with me no matter what. And so I'm going to do that. And I'm going to be even more intentional about that because I want to meet her for a lunch and some other things. But Ashlee is one of our heroes, one of our local heroes. And she's going to talk to you a little bit today about what has brought her to where she's at. She's going to also leave you a link, and she's going to tell you how you can get her book. Yes, I'm bringing to you a day that is today an author, someone that, oh my gosh, just such a beautiful soul. So you're going to learn from her. So without further ado, I introduce to you Ashlee Leppert, and the crowd goes wild.
Well, hello, Ms. Barbara. First of all, thank you again so much for having me on your show, Brain Fuel. I mean, what an awesome topic, and I'm so honored to be here and just share my little nugget of knowledge from my corner of the world. So thank you for having me on. Just as Barbara said, I live here locally, and I met Barbara at the Fort Walton Chamber, which was awesome. I mean, talk about a wealth of knowledge and professionals. I mean, I'm just honored with the relationships that I was able to build there. A little bit of a background on myself. So I served in the military, the United States Coast Guard, as a helicopter rescue mechanic, and I did that for 14 years. And just prior to my medical retirement, one of my biggest rescues happened in Houston, Texas in 2017 during Hurricane Harvey. And so because of that and all the rescues that we did, I decided to write a story about my life and sort of just open up about my personal life as well as my professional life, just with the hopes of really inspiring as many people as I can. And in order to change the world, you got to start with your community. And so that's sort of what I did when I got here to Fort Walton Beach. I dug my toes into the sand and hit the road running with just networking with amazing people like Barbara and all of our community professionals. And man, have I learned so much.
Well, Ashlee, I love that. Does your title of your book have meaning to you? I mean, I love it. I just love it. The Hurricane Within. Can you kind of tell us what drove you to use that title?
Sure. Yeah. Actually, it was probably the hardest part about writing my book was coming up with the title. I had the book done and it took me probably another month to figure out the title, but it's sort of a play on words. I was going through an internal hurricane with some traumas and difficulties throughout my life that I really never addressed. Like I'm sure most of us do. We sort of just put a Band-Aid over it and try to continue on moving. And then the other part of that name of the book is actually being in the physical hurricane and flying into a hurricane and saving dozens of people from certain death. So I sort of wanted to just open up about both of those hurricanes, the one internally that I was dealing with and also the one that I flew in. So it was just really a great opportunity to share my personal testimony, be vulnerable with people and let them know that I overcame some pretty difficult things and hopefully, show them that they can do it too and build the resiliency within people. So it was very, very important to me. And I'm just, again, grateful that I have wonderful people like you that give me a platform to talk about it and share it.
Oh, thank you, Ashlee. I love that. So when you actually save people, you went in the middle of a hurricane, you're saving them. They're going to drown, or they're going to be crushed, or they're going to be pulled under, or all the things. We're a hurricane area, so I know just firsthand from watching all the things that you did. When you did that with someone, and I believe this, and when someone says thank you for saving me, thank you for, when you can receive that and you can give back, then the brain is fueled. Tell me what gives you the juice. What's the juice for the fuel for you?
You're so right, Barbara. It is the most fulfilling thing. And honestly, just going to that thought process is sort of emotionally overwhelming for me to think about that people are alive today because of my crew's and I's efforts out there. It's just such a blessing. But what fueled me after the fact to share that is one time I was speaking to one person and they came to me and they said, wow, I didn't know that I was dealing with PTSD. I didn't know that I could overcome this struggle that you talked about today, whether it be losing a loved one or being a victim of, something horrific like a sexual assault. People were like, wow, watching you overcome it and be so positive has given me the motivation to also overcome it. And I tell you what, Miss Barbara, there is nothing more validating in life than hearing that one person has changed in a positive way because of what you've offered to society. I mean, it truly is what motivates me, what fuels my brain to continue just down that path of impacting our communities, which ripples out to impacting our country, which potentially ripples out to impacting the world, which, I mean, could we imagine how our positive life stories is really building resiliency for other people? It's kind of like mind-blowing at times, to be honest with you.
Yeah, I love that. And I want to ask you, as you fueled your brain, as you really reached out, how has your attitude changed?
So honestly, you can probably ask just about any military member if they're going through a hard time. They'll be quick to say, "Oh no, I'm okay," because military members and first responders are really all about helping other people and not so much themselves. So what I've realized in one of the biggest ways that I've healed myself and that I've given myself positive brain fuel was by, in helping other people. You inadvertently are healing yourself when you put the time and the effort into helping others, uplifting others, and letting people know that they can overcome it and just filling everybody's cup up with positivity. And before you know it, you're like, wow, I've been in a better mood. I've been feeling more positive. I've been reaching my goals that I thought that I could never attain, all because I've been helping other people. It truly is a beautiful thing. And when you put yourself last, and, of course, I'm a Christian and talking about biblical verses is very important to me. And one of the verses is when, you put yourself last, you become first. And I feel that through my life, and just, it's not about me. Yes, I wrote a book about my life, but truly the goal was not to build myself up. It was to build everybody that read and heard about my story up. And it's just truly been a big blessing.
Oh, I love that. I'm going to ask you another question for you to dig deep. All of us are a little afraid, very fearful of being vulnerable. and so I want to ask you, when have you felt vulnerable and when have you stepped past it and found that you were so fueled?
It's such a very true statement you said. Everybody is scared of fear of rejection, fear of failure, fear of the unknown. There's so many fears. But for me, when I got done with the hurricane rescues and I realized that I was having some nightmares and I was experiencing some symptoms of PTSD, I didn't want to talk about it for the longest time. And then I started to open up and be vulnerable with my rescue swimmers, with my pilots. And you know what? Everybody else was going through very similar things. And I thought, wow, how many of us are dealing with this and not talking about it and having the bravery to open up? And to me, that was mind blowing. It was a mind blowing realization. So we're all going through something, right? It doesn't have to be as extreme as PTSD, but every single person is dealing with something, a traumatic event, a loss of a loved one, a financial issue, whatever the case may be. And so why don't we all just talk about it? Why don't we heal together? Why don't we uplift one another? Nobody is going through life unscathed. So it's like, just being able to say, hey, I don't know what you're going through, but I'm sure it's something. Here, can I tell you what I'm going through? And maybe we can just find a common way to build each other, build that brain fuel, and really just get through life with, not feeling alone and being a captive to those fears that are constantly, in our faces.
I love that. I'm going to do one more thing and then we're going to sign off. This has been awesome. And I know you've just fed other people. So I want to ask you this. When you've gone through your life, when you've gone through this process, what moment in time, and I do a whole training where we go back and we take a moment, a significant moment that actually started you on the journey where you find yourself now. It can be a positive, it can be a negative, but we go and we give it texture and smell and taste and touch and visuals. And so can you give us a defining moment that has gotten you from where you were to right now?
Yes, ma'am. Well, there's actually quite a few, but if I'm thinking of the most important one off the top of my head, it was surrender. It was surrender for me. My whole life, I was trying to do things my way. I was trying to live life how I wanted to. And, I kept messing up because we're human and we mess up, right? So what I did one day is I said, you know what? God, I've been doing things my way and it hasn't been working out. I'm going to surrender to your plan. I know you created this universe. You created me so significantly. And why wouldn't I let my creator really take the reins in my life? And when I did that and I had obedience and just said, Lord, use me for your will, I cannot even explain to you the blessings and the amazing path that my life has been put upon because God has beautiful things in store for us if we really just allow him to move in our lives. And that might look different for a lot of people. But for me, it's just been such a breath of fresh air and such a peace that has come upon me, knowing that I am doing something for the greater good, not just for myself.
Oh, that was awesome. You guys, you have been privy to listening to Ashlee Leppert, and she's going to give you the links where you can go to get her book. And you know what? How about having someone like her come in and speak to your organization? Talk about brain fuel. She brings it. Ashlee, give that, and then we'll do a sign off. And thank you so much for giving us your valuable time.
Thank you. You know what? I appreciate you allowing me to share what fuels my brain. And thank you, everybody, for listening. I really hope that something that I said today resonates in your heart. And to follow up, my book is called The Hurricane Within. I do have a website. It's called ashleeleppert.com. And we'll have that in the description box for Miss Barbara's podcast here. And also on my website, there's a place where you can reach out to me, order an autographed copy of my book, or inquire about a speaking event that you would like to have me at. I'd be honored to hear from you. And also Amazon.com, you'll find The Hurricane Within on Audible, ebook, and paperback and hard copy. Thank you so much for listening to me today, everybody.
Oh, way to go. Let's give her a big hand, you guys. I don't care where you're at. Just give her a big hand. Thank you, Ashlee. Thank you so much.
Thank you.